Well, hello and welcome to this episode. We kind of thought that we didn't really want to get too political on this channel, and I'm really hoping that this episode doesn't alienate some of our viewers, but we have some things that need to be said.
Oh,
So we are back in Canada now, and we have made the decision to stay in Canada for the next year. Instead of snowbirding down to the U.S. this fall, we have decided to seek our fortunes inside the confines of our own country.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I really would like a beach that isn't frozen over.
Yeah.
Lots of sun, but I look forward to being in Canada for the winter.
We don't have a lot of options as far as places that have very mild winters. Right now, as of today, when we're recording this, we're looking very strongly at spending the winter out on Vancouver Island.
By Victoria. It has the least amount of rain and the warmest temperatures. It's still going to be cold, but
not cold like Calgary cold.
No,
or
it's
cold
not
like Northern Alberta cold.
It's going to be like a fall or spring day that's cold.
Yeah.
But
and it's certainly not going to be Arizona temperatures.
No. It could have snow, but the snow wouldn't last.
So what has led us to this place? This is really tough. And like I said at the very beginning of this, we don't want to make this overtly political, but there is some politics that are involved that have led us to this place where we needed to make this decision. We have several Canadian friends who are in the same situation, who are not going to be snowbirding in the States this year. Some of them have decided to go into places like Mexico, Dominican Republic, places like that. For us, because we've got a big, huge dog that I don't think would be flying very well, we are going to have to maintain this with our rig and the truck. And so Morrie will be coming with us. So we're going to have to pick Canada. Now, some of the things that we have been very aware of that are helping to motivate this decision. Number one is the strength of the Canadian dollar. We went down to the U.S. The first week of October of 2024, and we came back almost the third week of March of 2025. In that time, the dollar remained pretty steady up until the election in November. And from the election in the U.S. until the first week of March, we saw the Canadian dollar lose another 5 cents of value. And that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when we're putting in, $200 of gas into our truck, and you're another, 5 cents less value than what you had prior to that, it really adds up. The price of things in the States, when we first got down there, we were pretty pleased that, a lot of the things that we were getting for groceries and stuff didn't seem to be that expensive. In fact, in many cases, it was less expensive than, a comparable product in Canada. But again, over the course of the last 2 to 3 months that we were there, we saw things go completely sideways as far as the price of groceries are concerned. Eggs was a really good example.
Yeah. I think it was almost $8 a dozen, the last one we bought.
The last one I didn't buy because it was $12 a dozen.
Yeah.
$12.
So we haven't bought eggs since January. And we luckily had some powdered eggs, like for baking. And we bought a dozen last week.
So the value of the Canadian dollar and the price of groceries have been two things that have really led into this decision. Some of the rhetoric that we're finding that is coming out of there. I mean, I'm a very proud Canadian. I've always taken a lot of pride in the fact that, when people ask where I'm from, I can say with a lot of pride that I'm from Canada. I don't want to be a 51st state. And
that ticked me off so badly.
There's people that we ran into down in the U.S. At the place that we were staying that said, "Oh, no, he's just kidding." And I went, "Well, if he's just kidding, why does he keep saying it? And why all these tariffs and why all of these things? Whether you're kidding or not, I mean, it's one thing to make a joke once. It's another thing to just continually reiterate it to the point where our previous prime minister was being referred to as Governor Justin Trudeau. I think there's just a certain point of propriety when it comes to how you treat other leaders of other countries. And I was really disgusted with that behavior. And it just got to the point where it isn't even so much that I'm making this decision because of that. It was the response that I was getting from the people, not all people. And I'm going to pause here for a second to say we met some absolutely incredible people in the United States. And we've become friends with several folks who, were also very upset about those kinds of comments. But it was the few in the campground who would bring it up. I'd be out at the off-leash park with Morrie, and there's, some guy who decides that that's a perfect opportunity to bring up that, hey, buddy, one of these days, we're both going to be U.S. citizens. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. Oh, come on, you would love it down here. I said, well, I love it down here, but I don't love it as a U.S. citizen. I'm very proud to be Canadian. And it was just this constant having to argue with people that are very narrow-minded. I'm hoping I'm not coming across as narrow-minded, but this attitude that whatever this president is doing, that he's right, and that the rest of the world can, basically go to Hades in a handbasket. So I really had to get that off my chest. But that's one of the things is those kinds of that kind of rhetoric. I'm hoping it calms down, but for the time being, it is what it is.
And I mean, October, November is a long way off, but it also can be very fast. And we have to make decisions now because as we're not the only Canadians staying home in Canada, the spaces that are in these areas that are desired will go fast. So we will have to make a decision and stick by it. And even if things calm down and cheer up, we still have to, because we would make a commitment, a financial commitment to stay, we would have to follow through on that commitment because that's a lot of money to lose. And that's okay. It's part of the journey.
Well, there's another part of it. I think just to be able to, in our own way, be able to say that as Canadians, if we are going to be proud Canadians, is it okay to not boondock? Is it okay to not snowbird? Is it okay to not vacation? Is it okay to not cross the border? And I think the answer for us is, yeah, it is okay. It is okay for us. If we want to be snowbirds, that's great. But do we have to snowbird in that country? And I think in a small way, it's kind of helping to prove a point that we can be just as happy spending our money supporting Canadian businesses in Canada.
Yeah. And because we've more or less chosen the island, once we get over there, once our winter time is up, we're now on the island. We've already paid for the ferry. We can travel it. So it's an opportunity for us to see yet a different part of Canada. Steve has never been to the island. Yeah. I haven't been there since, I guess it was 78. That was with my BCIT class. Prior to seeing the rest of the island, it was like 1970 or 71. So, it's been a few years.
Yeah, I don't know how it is that I've managed to travel from Vancouver all the way out to the far east coast, two places that I've never been. I've never been to Newfoundland, Labrador, and I've never been to BC, Vancouver Island. So those are things that are definitely on my bucket list to see.
And that's exciting.
It is exciting. So I'm actually turning this into a very big positive. If we're going to spend some time and spend a full year in Canada in our rig, won't it be nice to be able to go to a place that I've never been to and be able to spend some considerable time on the island, seeing things and just experiencing all the things that are available within this country.
Yeah. So while it could be a negative, maybe the decision and the reasons for the decision and that, but really what it's done is forced us to look at our own country and go, well, we know it's a beautiful country, especially in the summer.
So anyway, this is a pretty short episode. We just wanted to give an update on what our travel plans are. Travels with Morrie continues, but it's going to be continuing effective now for at least 1 full year and a half. At least 1 full year and a half that we'll be spending our time in Canada. And we are really looking forward to be able to bring to you some of the other sights and sounds and places that we are at that we would like to recommend that people go to here in Canada. So we're looking forward to that.
And show you what wintering on the island is like.
That's going to be a big one. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also extremely excited about it.
But as you can see, he's wearing a t-shirt. I'm still bundled up. So guess who's going to be colder?
We should be fine. Anyway, once the plans are completely solidified and we've put the deposit down, I will feel a little bit better. That's going to happen, I would guess, within the next 10 days that we will put our deposit down on the place that we're looking at staying for next year. We have a short list of 3, one that's kind of at the top of the list and 2 other potentials, but we'll be making that decision in the next 10 days. So anyway, stick around with us, and thank you so much for your support for our little growing channel. And we look forward to bringing you the sights and sounds of Travels with Morrie, the Canadian edition, for the next 18 months.
Yes.